Hello, and welcome back to another EPC Teardown Guide. Today, we're taking a look at this Dell Precision Model 7670. This model has a i7 12th Gen processor and a 16-inch display. Now, it is a bit of a lengthy teardown compared to some of our other ones. Today, we're going to show you how. Now, let's get into it. We'll start with just 6 captured screws in the back. I believe the majority of this teardown, if not all of it, should just need a 0 Phillips head. I believe to get this open, no, you start from this side. Just wedge something in between here. There we go. Just work it back and forth a little bit. Eventually it'll pop free. And off comes the back cover. So we'll start as usual by getting the battery out. I believe the battery is held in place by 3 long black screws. The battery connector on this model is a little tricky because there isn't a pull tab, but it looks like it just came out easily like that time. There's little wings on the side, so if it doesn't just come out easily, you could use something small and sharp, preferably a plastic scraper, short wedge in the side to get those wings up. You don't really want to try and wrench it up like the way it just came out. Here we've got a rather unique feature, at least for current models, and that's cam RAM instead of dim RAM. You'll see it's screwed in place. I believe this specific version of cam RAM is right now unique to the Dell Precision models. I believe Lenovo has a separate but equivalent version of the cam RAM. It's got 2 different kinds of screws. The top has longer ones and the sides have shorter ones. Make sure you don't get those mixed up. Once you get those out, it just comes right off. And you can see it has these connectors here, which are held in by pressure by this little plate. So as you can see, we have 2 separate drive bays here. One of them's populated, one of them's not. Let's go ahead and get the unpopulated one off first. This little metal heat spreader is held on by a single screw. Then it should just lift up and away. Oh, it looks like there's also another drive bay here, but there's not a mounting bracket for it. See, it's labeled 4, and this one is labeled 3. There might actually be one more on the other side of the board. We'll check that out later. So to get this one off, there's a little plastic locking bracket here that holds the cage in place.
Not bad, man.
The drive is held on by this little shield and this little cage. We'll get the cage out. We'll take this screw out.
Not good.
Then should be able to just pull the cage right out with the drive inside. Just like that. When they get the drive out, you just take that one screw off. It's got the same metal bracket on as before. Since we're here, and it's a step left to take, let's go ahead and get these speaker cables off. Just held on by this little wing connector here. Speakers are generally not held down by any screws, but some models do. Just gotta unthread this cable, and all it's held in by is these little rubber grommets. Make sure I keep them on there, and they mostly just come right out. Only a little bit of pull. Now we have the Wi-Fi antennas, which are connected A little unusual, I would say, on this model. You see the Wi-Fi card is embedded right there. And then you've got the cables going out to antennas on the other side. Well, I guess technically the cables themselves are antennas. But I'm going to remove this little bracket here. The screw is not captured, so be careful with it. So we have the Wi-Fi connectors right here on the embedded Wi-Fi card. Let's get those off. Remember to be very careful. I try and pull it up directly next to the connector to minimize the amount of torque so I don't damage the connector. Same as this one. There we go. And then we just unthread it. Got these little grooves and channels built into the cage holding in the board. So these are just put back in and out, luckily. The antennas themselves are held on by 2 screws each. Oh, how I wish if they're upgrading the RAM, they would consider upgrading the Wi-Fi connectors to be less of a hassle, but perhaps that's just a pipe dream. There we go. It's both the Wi-Fi antennas out. Now I believe our goal right now would be to get this little bracket out that holds the board in place. I'm going to start with these large screws. I believe there are 9 of them. I believe that one is part of the touchpad, so we'll ignore it for now. Alright, those are the large screws, and I believe we have a few of these long silver screws as well, 4 of them to be exact. Now this cage should come out. There it goes. Let's next get this heatsink unit off. This whole heatsink for both the CPU and GPU and fans is all one unit. So I'll go ahead and get that all off at once. Start by getting these 2 fan connectors out. Those little wing connectors right there and there. I generally just use my thumbs to slowly rock it back and forth. The heatsink screws, they're numbered in the order that you should take them out and put them back in. And there should be 4 of these medium-sized black screws, looks like M2x5s, in the fan itself. Or the fan case, I should say. I don't believe these are captured, but they seem to be holding steadfast. That one came out. That, I believe we can take this whole unit off. Careful, at least in this case 3 of the screws are still in there. And we'll put it to the side. And that gave me much more access to the board itself, even exposed the GPU. So since we're talking about it, let's get that GPU out. You can see it's held on by this these 2 bridges here. So let's get these out of here. Looks like it is held in by these 3 black fans in the GPU, or black screws in the GPU itself. Don't know why I didn't grab these out when I pulled them out. You can see they have a similar connection to the cam RAM. And lastly, we've got what is likely the power cable. If I remember correctly, for these, you pick up on the end and then you slide it out. And just lift that up and away. Now I believe we can start working on getting the motherboard out proper. Though the first steps to that is going to be this display connector right here. It's held on by this single screw holding the bracket in place. And it looks like they left us a little bitty flap to just pull it straight up with. You can see right here is the power port that then snakes underneath the case and connects over here. So we'll just go ahead and disconnect it there. Now I believe there are 4 ribbon cables. Yep, 1, 2, 3, 4. They'll connect to the board. So let's get those out. Make sure to close the flaps once you pull the cables out so they can't fall back in. You don't risk damaging the connector possibly. So we've got 7 more screws to remove, I believe. We've got these 3 lone screws. Then we've got 1 screw holding this USB-C shield down. The only good thing about having a magnet on there is if a screw gets tough on me, I can just use a magnet to pull it out. And then we have these 3 screws holding this USB-C shield down. If memory serves, that should be everything. And I should be able to pull the board out. It looks like we took that off. There's a little bit of adhesive on this ribbon cable. Just gotta take that off. And then we've got the CMOS battery, but I can just pick that up. And that's the full board. Now we have that off, you can see there's the screws that hold the display and lid in place. And it looks like the keyboard itself is removable as well with all the screws around the side here. A little daughter board here for the SD card. And it may even be that the touchpad is removable, though I don't think so. But in total, that's a full disassembly of the Dell Precision 7670. Thank you all for watching.
Don't feel like doing a teardown yourself? Have not just 1, but hundreds of devices taking up space? EPC is a global leader in the ITAD field, and it's our goal to reduce e-waste and give devices a second chance. Reach out to us today to learn more.